Welcome to Positive Black Talk. I am Willie Beal.
And I'm Chuyen Friesen.
Today, along with our panelists, we're going to talk about peer pressure and the problems that it causes. But before we do this, we have to go to a commercial break. So stay tuned for more Positive Black Talk.
Okay, another thing, when you say your 3, 2, 1, and I don't know.
Welcome back to Positive Black Talk. And now we'll go to our panelists. Y'all can introduce yourselves.
My name is Christopher Williams. I'm a senior at McDonough 35.
I'm Danielle Eugene. I'm a senior at LE Rap 1.
My name is Jason Lewis. I'm a junior at McMain.
My name is Thomas Williams. I'm a senior at Warren Easton.
You know, we're talking about peer pressure, as Willie said, and we know that it is probably the #1, if not the biggest problem that we have in our society. Since, Thomas, you have the mic, give us your definition of peer pressure.
Peer pressure is when someone tries to convince you to do something so you could be down.
Okay. Jason, what about you? What's your definition?
My definition of peer pressure is when somebody doesn't have respect for themselves, so they try to bring everybody else down with them.
Mm-hmm. Danielle?
To me, peer pressure is a phase that a person goes through. They want to be like other people or whatever.
Chris?
To me, peer pressure is when someone is insecure about themselves, so they try to get other people to feel the same way they do or to do the same things they do, so they won't feel as insecure.
Can any of you all tell us about, like, if you all ever came into with peer pressure, you know, any situations or something like that at school while y'all in school or with friends?
Well, I have a friend. She was pressured into doing something that she really didn't want. Therefore, it made her very uncomfortable, you know.
Okay. So, what are some things that we're pressured to do? Maybe in school, for instance. Okay.
Like there's those who really don't go to classes, and they really want people to hang out with them while they're cutting. And so if they get in trouble, everybody goes down with them.
Especially boys trying to get girls out of class.
Is that right?
You must be one of those, huh?
I try not to cut class.
I heard that.
Try not to.
Not study.
Okay.
Not study.
Like a lot of people get pressured. I mean, as far as like if a whole group of people that you know is going someplace, and you may not feel like going anywhere, you may just want to stay home. It's like, oh man, you're not down with the crew or whatever, so it's like you're a nerd or whatever just because you didn't want to go out this one time.
Right.
So it's like they
Okay,
try to single you out.
So what about clothes? Are we pressured to wear or dress a certain way?
A lot of people like feel if they don't have a certain name brand or a certain style of clothes that, you know, they're not gonna be popular. But, you know, I feel it's like I wear what I want to wear, and I mean, if you secure in yourself, it doesn't really matter what you wear. If it looks nice, then, you know, people are gonna accept you just because, you know, you're that strong of an individual.
Okay.
And you never know, if you feel like you want to be different, then somebody else may say, well, I like him because he's different. Well, I'll dress like him. And you may not think you making a trend or whatnot.
So Jason, you said different. So that means if that person is wearing bell bottoms, but yet he's still popular, you mean to tell me we're gonna still follow him? So explain different. What do you mean about different?
Different from everybody else. You know, they're not everybody. He's not. You know, somebody's not wearing what everybody else is wearing, and they have like that style.
Okay.
Well, I know when I was in school, I dealt with peer pressure. I thought about it. Just imagine with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan scores 35 points a night, sometimes 40. How would it look to see Horace Grant or Scottie Pippen calling him, "Oh man, you're a nerd from scoring all those many points"? So, what are some kind of type of systems that you all use to deal with it?
I guess I just go about what I want to do. And, you know, if I have a certain goal that I'm setting out for, I don't worry about anybody else. I just go for that one goal.
You know, it seems like we have two extremes. The group that is talked about and the group that is put on a pedestal, like the popular crew and the ones that are not so popular. The ones that are not so popular are probably the nerds. So how do you think the ones who are popular become popular? Because they dress a certain way? Why are they popular?
They just following the trends
Okay.
of everybody else. Maybe there was one person who was popular in the whole school, and everybody else started following him. Well, then that became the popular crowd, and everybody who decided not to follow them, they were the nerds.
And it's just like you said about trends. In America today is most likely to what's something negative is most likely to get attention than something positive. So that's probably why like the people who are most popular in school are sometimes the people doing the negative thing, cutting class, not doing the right things, causing fights. So it just.
I agree with you. The clowns seem to get more attention in school. Definitely.
Okay. So, Chris, you had something to say?
Yeah, I mean, because I know at my school that the kids that are, I mean, I'm not saying that all the kids are like this, but a lot of kids that are causing a lot of problems at school, they get a lot of attention. I mean, of course, they get attention from the teachers because they're disrupting class, but they get attention from the from other students because he's cool, or girls might think, oh, he's cute, he made us laugh. But I mean, it's hard to learn while you laughing at a joke, so it's a difficult situation.
So what age do you think peer pressure starts?
Really, the way I see it, it's really no age limit to it, because there's those who are very young who is really into peer pressure more than some older people are.
So you mean they experience the same things, like they have to dress with the jabots and they have to dress with the polos and the Nikes and everything else? You think they go through the same thing as teenagers?
Not really. It's just differently.
Okay.
Not really that. It could be going to the playground or something. Let's go ride Hot Wheels. No, I want to do this. And it might be the only
Right.
one that's not doing it.
Okay. Thomas, you had something to say?
Peer pressure usually starts at the age of 5, I think. It's like when you're outside, like he said, well, I have Hot Wheels, I have He-Man. You should get it because everybody else got it.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the peer pressure that's in school. Let's talk about the peer pressure that people face when they're out on the streets with their friends.
In my case, I haven't really been affected by that much peer pressure. I mean, of course, I've encountered it, but I mean, my friends are real open-minded. They never really pressured me to do something I didn't want to do. I mean, I know not everybody is like that, but I'm just in my personal situation. Because I mean, I've seen some kids. Well, I mean, they felt as though they had to be with the in crowd, or I mean, they didn't have a lot of self-esteem, so they figured by being with the in crowd, it would make them have a better image of themselves.
Because I felt as though when I first moved back down here from California, I didn't really know anyone. And it was like I didn't have no friends and nothing to be with. And I started going to school down here, and I met people, and I felt, well, I got to do what they do in order to fit in,
Right. Okay, Danielle, you said you've been living in California for a while. What do you notice different about the different areas of our country? Do you think that all teenagers go through the same thing worldwide, nationwide?
It's really nothing different. They may handle situations differently than we do down here, but it's basically the same things.
Okay. Well, what about clothes? I'm into this thing about clothes. You said, Chris mentioned earlier that you don't really have to dress a certain way. You can, if you feel good about yourself, you're confident, you really shouldn't have any problems. So some people can say, well, I don't know what the problem is then if you feel good about yourself. But if you go out and your mom tells you to buy some Emmy Jimmies, then so you're gonna tell your mom, well, okay, I'm still confident. Yeah, all right, Mom, I'll buy it because I don't care what everybody else says. You're gonna still buy those tennis shoes?
Personally, I would. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever I pick out usually what I like. And no matter what brand it is, sometimes I'll find some style that I like, and I'll get that. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So you don't mind what other people tell you?
I don't care. I just
That's good.
on anything.
So we're talking about the peer pressure the peer pressure we have been talking about so far. Sounds like to me about the pressure that you receive from your friends. Let's talk about some of the pressure that you receive from people like your brothers or your girlfriends or your boyfriends and stuff like that. Let's talk about some of that peer pressure.
Well, I know for a fact, I have 3 older brothers, and they always try to steer me, in their footsteps. But sometimes you gotta just lead your own life. You may have the same goals that they do, but most of the time you have your own goals, and you got to go for those goals, and just try to make them understand that you have your own life and you have to live it.
Right.
And it's like I've been through relationships with guys, and it's like they'll tell me like, well, we going out such and such, okay, I'm gonna go, and then when I ask permission or whatever, to okay it, they were like, well, you can't go, and I'll call them back or whatever and say, well, I can't go. Well, I'll tell them that I can't do it, and they get upset. They were like, well, you 18, such and such, you old enough, you can do what you want to do, and it's like they're pressuring me.
Right. I'm glad you said going out, because that's my next question. We're getting into some sticky situations now. Why is it that guys can go out maybe at night, they don't have a curfew, but girls, parents are saying, be back by 12 o'clock? Is there a difference, and why?
There's definitely a difference, because males are brought up in this society to be more independent, and females are the females are independent, but some are raised to be more catering to their male partner, to their spouse, to their husband or whatever. So it's like they're not as outgoing. They may not be as outgoing. Their parents may not let them do as many things as they would let a boy do.
Right. Okay. That's a good point. Jason has something to say.
And a group of boys definitely don't do the same thing as a boy and a girl do.
Definitely.
Okay.
So the parent and the parents are just trying to protect their daughters.
Right.
Which is understandable, but it can get out of hand sometimes.
Ah.
What advice would you all give to younger children coming up who are facing peer pressure and have to face it even more when they reach high school?
Don't let it bother you. Just do your own thing. Whatever makes you happy, go for it. And don't worry about what other people are going to say, because people are going to talk about you anyway.
Okay. Let's get back. Thomas, you said they're going to talk about you anyway.
No matter what, someone's always going to be there to say, well, I don't like what he's doing. And no matter how positive you're being, someone's going to always try to find something negative of it. So just deal with it. Keep going.
So when we're talking about respect, can we put respect in the perspective with peer pressure? What about respect? When guys disrespect girls, is there a reason why they disrespect some girls, but yet they don't want other people to disrespect their sisters?
Most times I think they're just showing off for their boys.
Okay.
That's most of the time. Say if you ask a girl to go out or something and she tells you no, and you call them out their name.
Right.
And I ain't want to go out without know it.
Right.
And the boss be like, yeah, bro, don't worry about it. But in your mind, you're saying, well, I could have just stayed there and talked to her, just be friendly with her.
Do your own thing, like Thomas said.
But it's like, I'm not trying to go against the female, but there are some females who, I guess, they feel comfortable if a dude disrespect them. And it's like when a dude disrespects another guy's little sister or something, it's a different story,
Yeah.
And I don't understand it, but I've met some females that, like you said, some females they're like, well, if my man doesn't take charge, then he not no real man.
Okay.
He's like, but do you disrespect? I mean, he's like, he smacking upside the head, but he taking charge. But I mean, if you smacking your girl upside the head, that ain't no real man. I mean, how can you love somebody that's beating you up every day? I don't understand that. And I mean, I've encountered it. I've had some friends in that situation, and I never did understand why they stayed in that situation.
Yeah.
Another thing is how, a lot of these girls carry themselves, to be what
Good
these
point.
boys are calling them. And if they can't respect themselves and carry themselves like young ladies and young women, then how can we respect them?
Okay.
For instance, in the music, you have everybody, all the girls popping in certain songs, and all the songs are disrespecting the women. And they know it, and some of them are actually singing the lyrics along with them. You don't understand why that's happening. What could be the cause of that? If you know they're disrespecting you, why are you supporting it constantly?
But the first time you start saying it, then they want to jump all over your back.
Yeah, and also I noticed females call each other these things.
Uh-oh, Chris, you've been noticing too much lately.
But I'm serious. Females
Okay.
call each other these things, and it's hard for you to respect somebody when you constantly see them disrespecting each other that way.
Okay. Danielle, before you go to your comment, you're the only female in this group. It's obvious. All right. If you demand respect, and guys are used to disrespecting girls, how do you try to gain the attention of the guys to let them know that, hey, you're not going to disrespect me?
Well, me personally, I let them know offhand before the relationship or the friendship starts. I'll tell a person, well, I'll tell a person from the beginning, well, I'm not like such and such. You can't treat me like this. Don't talk to me like that. If you want respect, you're gonna have to give respect.
Good point.
First of all.
I want y'all to be honest about this question. Have anyone of you all ever pressured anybody through your whole life?
Not me.
I think everybody does, some intentionally and some, not intentionally. It's just something that goes on.
A lot of times you can pressure someone and you don't know that you are. You're constantly saying things and they're like, well, dang, he's doing it.
For example?
Do it.
For example, give me an example.
It's like you're talking about, well, I'm going to the concert. And the other person is like,
Oh.
I don't have no money to go to this concert. If I spend this money, then I'm going to be broke for the rest of the week. And everybody's going to the concert.
Yeah.
So, finally they just go and do it. And then they be stuck.
And broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like you were saying, going certain places. I mean, a lot of people may pressure you to go in places that that probably aren't safe. Which is like, all your friends are there is like, well, I guess nothing to happen if I go this just this once. And you go there and something bad happens and you're like, oh man, I should have stayed home. So, I mean, it's like a catch-22. It's like, if you go, you could get hurt, but if you don't go, you like risk losing,
Missing out on
missing out on something or being like cast out.
So when we get into the situations and we realize that it wasn't for us, do we learn from those lessons or we do the same thing?
Hopefully.
But does it happen? Because we continuously have this cycle. We're pressured all the time. It seems like it never ends. It's just this one long cycle. And you guys are giving some great points about this is what you should do, have confidence, go do your own thing. But we still have this problem.
Basically, there's just a lot of weak-minded people. They're like, it goes back to the clout thing, who has the most clout. And some people feel the need to be popular or want to be a part of the crowd. And as long as you have people that has that need, they're going to continue to be problems of peer pressure.
I kind of disagree with you on that part about a lot of weak-minded people, because a whole lot of strong-minded people in our society today are getting, and it just, it just doesn't happen with weak-minded people. Like take the president. You know, he has to go to other people to make decisions, and in order for them to make the right decision in his favor, he's gonna have to kiss butt. You know, so that's a form of peer pressure right there. You know?
So from the lowest to the top.
Right.
We'll be back with more Positive Black Talk right after these messages. Oh, it's too late.
Willie, why you looked away? One and...
Welcome back to Positive Black Talk. Before we left, we was talking about the peer pressure, like from girlfriends and stuff like that. As we all know, there's good peer pressure and bad peer pressure. So,
Well, everyone say there's always bad peer pressure, but it's good too for those, like your friend may be going off to school or something, and he's always constantly talking to you about it, and it's like, and you be like thinking, you be like, well, I'm not going to go to college or something like that. So, you know.
Okay. What advice would you guys give to other teenagers who are experiencing pressure, whether it's about clothes, school, books, having money? What advice would you give to them?
Well, you know, I would say that whatever it is, you have to be yourself and be strong as an individual, because I mean the problems with peer pressure aren't just peer pressure. It's deeper rooted than that. It involves a lot of the social problems we have in this society. So you just have to be a strong individual as far as your personal well-being is concerned.
Jason and Thomas?
I agree with Chris. Sometimes it seems to me that if you have an older, say you're a young dude or whatever, and you have an older brother who's dealing drugs, and you see he's making a lot of money, getting all the girls because they want his money, and you know he has all the fancy cars. Well, then may not be somebody in the household to say, well, why don't you just get a job and work and save for that money that you could use just like your brother, but don't be like your brother,
Right.
because all you're doing is killing your own race and your other people.
Good point. Thomas?
Use your morals and do what you want to do.
Good.
Do what you have to do, but what you know is right. You know, don't do something that you know is wrong because everybody else is doing it. Because remember, when everybody else is in trouble, no one's going to help you out.
Right. And now, Danielle. What advice would you give to all the young ladies watching today?
What advice would I give to them? Just be a strong-minded person and just do what you think feels right and don't do nothing you think is wrong. You know, just be your own person.
Sounds
Be
good to
strong.
me. Well, that does it. You heard it from them. You didn't hear it from us. These are teenagers, and they're telling you what you should do. You have to be a strong-minded person. Just don't follow the crowd. And remember that you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You can feel special by doing your own thing. And we certainly thank all of you for being here. And we invite you back to Positive Black Talk. Thanks, Chris, Danielle, Jason, and Thomas. We welcome you all, and we know you're going to be successful in the future, okay? All right. Give yourselves a hand. All right. Well, that does it for another edition of Positive Black Talk. I'm Chuyen Friesen.
And I'm Willie Beal.
And please stay tuned and join us next time for another edition of Positive Black Talk.
Hey, that was quick.
And you should have.
2, 1, and go.
My personal experience with peer pressure happened when I was about 13. My friends and I were hanging out at the gym one time, and they wanted to go get some beer, and I had never done that before. But you know, they really pressured me, so we ended up getting some 40 ounces, and I came home drunk and never want to experience that again.
Okay. Next. That was good. 3,
Now walk in front of the camera.
2, 1, and go.
One night I was peer pressured into sneaking out the house when I wasn't supposed to, and which is, I did it. And got in trouble for it the next day, of course. But I advise everyone, don't be pressured into nothing you don't want to do, that you really don't feel comfortable in doing. That's my view of peer.
1, and
My friends all had this pair of jeans and they were like, you have to have them, because we all have them. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get them. So I went out and I bought them. I really didn't like them, and they all ripped up on me the first day I bought them. Wish I'd never bought them.
One night, me and my friends were at a dance, and they wanted to get into a fight with these guys. Well, I decided that I was gonna go home, and came to find out that these guys were packing, and that they were ready to shoot anybody who felt like messing with them.
Be out of there.
How about them Saints? How about them? Hello, New Orleans. Welcome to Positive Black Talk.
Hello, New Orleans. My name is Earl Mackey. Welcome to Positive Black Talk. We have a great treat for you tonight because we're going to find out what is a man. The question sounds simple, but really it has a very complicated answer. And today we're going to analyze the question. So stay tuned because we're going to have a lot of good things here on our program today on Positive Black Talk.
First of all, I think that a man should be someone who is honest. A real man doesn't have to lie because he's not afraid of the truth. Also, I feel that a man is someone who is sensitive but who can stand up for himself. Basically, I think that if a man expects a woman to possess certain characteristics, then he should make sure that he possesses those same qualities himself.
We have a long way to go in the fight against HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. HIV is spread by sharing needles and through sex with an infected person. Today, there's a good chance you know someone with HIV. People with HIV can look just as healthy as anyone else. You can't tell if someone is infected with the virus just by looking at them. In fact, the person you're with right now might have HIV. Talk to your partner about HIV.
Learn how to prevent HIV infection.
The guy that I was with, I thought that we were one-on-one, okay? But I found out later that I was dumped because he got another girl pregnant. Mm-hmm. So there it is. It's you know, that's how it just goes. It goes just like that. That you continue to think that you're the only one, but you're not the only one. Right. And this is where I bring in the point of protection. Mm-hmm. And using the condom is so important because when you have sexual relation with this person, you're thinking that you're having it only with him, but you're actually having it with the other girls or girls that you don't know.
When you talk about protection.
Hi, how you doing? We're sitting here, as I said, we're going to discuss what is a man, and today we have the studio guests, a lot of young men, and also we have a panel here today. But young ladies, you're not going to be left out because later in the program we're also going to have some comment or some feedback from the female side of you. First, I want to introduce my panel guests today. We have Mr. Toney, Mr. James Toney from the United Council of Negro Women, and he have a program also entitled What is a Man? And also we have Mr. Schofield. A lot of us know Mr. Schofield from talking to a lot of public schools and coming and giving us his input. So I'm glad that you guys had a chance to join us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to be here. Well, first of all, I want to ask you, because both of you really go and talk to young men, young women, the young people, which a lot of young people looked over today. I mean, the only time we really see them is when the young people are in trouble. Why do you spend so much time, so much effort and energy to try to help the young people?
Well, we target our range from the age 12 to 19, where we try and get those youths that are on the road to destruction or the possibility of dwelling themselves and becoming better citizens. What we try and do is promote pregnancy prevention, male responsibility, teen awareness, these type topics which are needed and which aren't really covered in the schools.
Okay.
Well, what do you do?
Well, I think that our young people, especially our young black males, are endangered species. They're our future, and we need to get about the business of saving. That's been my goal in life, to help them to reach manhood and womanhood.
Why is it we are, like you said, we are endangered species? Why is that a problem for the young males? Why are we in this situation?
Well, if you look at statistics, they show that we are black males are only 6% of the population, but yet 46% of us are incarcerated. So, why is that? Why is that? Those statistics are alarming. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to promote and bring out those positive black males so we may overshadow the negative feedback that we have been getting.
Okay. Well, let's ask some of the people in the audience, because they are, as we said before, young males. What?
It's because everyone wants something, and if you have something that I want, then I'm gonna get it. And if I can't get it from you, I'm gonna kill you and get it. Because if my family's not making enough money to get it, I'm gonna get it the best way I can. And that's either to deal drugs and make the money, or to kill you and get it from you.
So there's a lot of killing going along around us today. You all agree with that?
Yeah.
So drugs are killing us, or are we getting killed by people who want the drugs, or what?
We ain't getting killed by people who want the drugs, it's the people who sell them.
Okay. Okay, well, why is drugs a problem today?
I think the thing that's killing us more than anything is a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge of self, of our history, and just what we're all about. The drugs, when we look at drugs, people say, well, why are they using drugs? Well, most of the people out there, young people, are not using. He alluded to the fact that a lot are selling it. It's a financial thing for them. For me, it's all a part of a conspiracy to destroy black males, especially young black males. Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu has a book, The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Males. The book explains in detail how dope has been introduced in our community as a means of self-destruction. So when you look at what they're up against and the things that the forces out there that are out there to hurt them, it's amazing that they made it this far.
All right. Now, we know that the drugs are in the community. I mean, did we grow it there? Did we get this yacht and go to Colombia and get it? How did the drugs get here?
Good point. I think when you deal with people who all of a sudden now, drugs have always been in the black community. When you ask how did they get there, well, let's look at it. We don't have airplanes to fly it in. We don't have ships to sail it in. Some of us do have cars, but we don't have the kind of cars that's necessary to bring the dope in. So how did it get there? Well, it's brought there because it's part of that conspiracy to help us destroy ourselves. It is kept there to help us destroy ourselves.
All right. Like you said, black people can't bring the drugs in. I feel like the white man brings the drugs over. And one thing that adds to the problem is, for a young black male to find a job today is going to be harder because it's the white people in a position to give you a job, and it's the white people in a position to let you into college or whatever. So if you're not above average in a spectacular way, it's going to be very hard for you to get into college and eventually find a job. So they see selling drugs as a way to make easy money. They don't have to put any work into it. And the only thing I see about it, they have to risk their life every day. But the way they feel, they don't mind because crime is so bad these days, they might die anyway. You know, that seems to be the main problem with the black male right now.
Okay. So the use of drugs or the business of drugs is really like a underground market. That's what you're saying. If you can't survive in the corporate world, well, hey, there's another world here, a black market in the community. Well, how do y'all feel about that? Do you think that if someone cannot compete on a corporate level, do you think he should turn to this other level, this black market that's out there with the drugs?
Well, that seems to be what they're doing, you know. And if we take a survey and ask, you know, the kids around the neighborhood, around the community about athletics aren't a big part. You know, you ask them about career goals, they're not thinking long-term goals as far as school, you know, college, careers. You know, they're just thinking about the fast, quick, and easy way to sustain and living, which is selling drugs and making that quick money.
So it's all about education.
Well, yes, it's about education, but I think we need to take a revolutionary approach to education. You see, most times we tell young people they need to get a good education to get a good job, to make good money. And young people are saying, an education for what? To work for who? If we follow the pattern of get a good education to get a good job to make money, many young people have said, I don't need an education to make money. I can make the money. For us, in terms of lifting ourselves out of this conspiracy, we've got to say the education is to give you the skill to know how to free yourself and to save yourself. See, right now that young people now, they know they have the skills. Everybody in here knows 3 times 6 is 18. But they'll say, why do I have to go to school to know that 3 times 6 is 18? We've got to say, you've got to first get an education to understand who you are.
Right.
And that's where most of my psychiatrist friends or psychologists are saying, all over the country, we've got to talk about self-esteem. We've got to get people to like themselves. If you have no knowledge of self, then self becomes insignificant. And the life of another is really nothing to you if you don't appreciate you and life.
Right. So we talk about this young man had mentioned that we feel that if we go to college or we go to school, the white man owns IBM, he owns NBC, he owns a lot of colleges and universities. So we're saying, are we up against a battle whereas he owns everything, and we're in a position where how can we dominate, how can we control a market? So we say we're going to create our own.
Well, right. Again, is that when I know when I was in school, one of the things we were taught is to get a good education, to get a good job, and make some money. I think at some point we need to start saying that we have to produce for ourselves. We've got to learn to go back to say, hey, let's create jobs for ourselves. Let's do the things that's necessary to uplift the black community. And when you talk about uplifting the black community, there's certain segments in our community say, oh, that now they're talking about black.